It is brutal, it is bloody, and it is a whole lot of fun. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video review here on TBR Media's YouTube channel. My name is Jared, and today we are going to be reviewing and talking about Lee Cronin's Evil Dead Rise. It is in theaters right now, and I recommend everyone go check this horror film out. It is brutal, it is bloody, and it is a whole lot of fun. Everything that you would expect from a proper Evil Dead sequel. Lee Cronin last directed The Hole in the Ground from 2019, and I gotta say, technically, this film is way more interesting and intricate than I expected it to be. The whole team, everyone from the sound department to the mixing to the cinematography especially, deserves so much credit for all the work that they put into this film. My favorite thing about this particular movie is the fact that it is so centralized to one family. You almost have this family dynamic unfold throughout the whole movie's runtime, which is just a little over an hour and a half. And every minute is used so well that after the movie, I thought that I could have used even maybe a few more minutes, and that's rare for me. And as previously mentioned, I think the cast is absolutely fantastic, but there are a couple of standouts that I want to shout out in this review. And that is Alyssa Sutherland as Elle, and then also Beth, played by Lily Sullivan. At the heart, this is the story of two sisters and their family, and the way that the characters react and respond to one another is so minute, down to the little details, that everything feels so intentional, and that comes out through how the camera captures these characters moving about this apartment, and also how the characters respond to certain situations in such subtle ways. And obviously it's an Evil Dead movie, so you expect the grandiose violence, and there's a lot of that here. There's a few sequences even that are worth mentioning. There's a whole sequence centered around this peephole in this door, and the way it's shot is so enthralling, mixed with the sound design of people pacing the hallways, and then another key scene with a cheese shredder. And you'll know when you see it. I don't want to spoil anything here. This is a non-spoiler review after all, but it's worth mentioning because those sequences that are contained solely to that apartment are some of the most thrilling sequences that I've seen in any horror movie in the last few years. And it's almost like this particular movie has all of the flavors that you would expect from the Evil Dead franchise: the brutality, the comedy, kind of the more parody of the Evil Dead franchise. And that is so refreshing on so many levels, just to see all of the elements that we know and love from before come back here and blend together so seamlessly. Dave Garbett is the cinematographer here, and I want to explicitly point out that he does such incredible work, and it's very reminiscent of Ash vs. Evil Dead, and that's for many reasons, but one of the main is that he was also working as a director of photography on that show. And let me tell you, when that show ended, it was devastating for me. I absolutely loved Bruce Campbell and that whole cast and crew from Ash vs. Evil Dead. And so to see that kind of unique style incorporated in this movie, but amplified in certain ways, was definitely something worthwhile for any Evil Dead fan. But I would argue that this movie also works for the majority of horror fans. If you're a horror fan, you're going to absolutely have a fantastic time with this movie. Like I said, you have the brutality with violence. There's so much blood. Elevators full of blood, if you will. There are references to aliens, to The Shining. There are so many different things that are occurring on separate levels, but somehow it all blends into one cohesive story. And at the end of the day, like I said, that family center at the heart of this movie is really what makes this stand out among this particular franchise. But also, I think it's worth noting that it warrants viewing from horror fans alike, even if you are not particularly an Evil Dead person. We had watched it in a Dolby Atmos theater, and that has to be one of the loudest experiences that I've had in a movie. There were multiple comments after the credits were rolling about how loud it was from multiple different people. But again, I think the sound design and the engineering behind that particular portion of this film really accentuates itself when you're in a setting. If you can see it in Dolby Atmos, I would highly recommend doing it. It might be loud, but it does enhance the experience, and that's not always the case with movies that use sound in the way that this film does. But I think here, not only does it add a lot of tension, and keep in mind too that a lot of the set pieces are very, very predictable. So this movie doesn't really get points for being creative in the way that particular scare sequences are formed, or in the way that you react to certain things when you know that they're coming. But I think the beauty of the film is that it's so well made that it almost doesn't matter. It's building atmosphere. It's 100% atmosphere, this movie, mixed with such a simple story that goes awry. And from the opening drone shot all the way until the last credits, you know that this movie is relentless in its mission to terrify audiences in a relatively traditional way. But again, it's so unique in the way that they use the sound, that they incorporate the cinematography here. There are a few, composites that are absolutely stunning, and it's a whole lot of fun to watch visually, without the added benefits of having that really intense and purposeful sound design. So overall, I would say definitely if you're an Evil Dead fan, if you're a horror fan, you have to see this movie this weekend in theaters. I know that they're projecting it to make anywhere from 10 to 15 million, but I really hope it's able to surpass that. We saw it on Thursday night with a pretty packed audience, mind you, and everyone had a whole lot of fun in the movie. Wren was with me. She did like the movie, but it did frighten her, and she's not really an Evil Dead, stan or fan at all. But again, I think this is a Friday night experience, and I would highly recommend over the weekend, whether it's tonight, whether it's tomorrow, to go check this out in a packed theater near you. But overall, guys, I want to know what you think of Evil Dead Rise. Let me know down in the comments below. Is there something that I missed worth mentioning? Let me know your overall thoughts and opinions and how you feel about the franchise and where we go from here, because they are in the process of making so much more Evil Dead content. So let me know what you think of that down in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.
Mommy's with the maggots now.